Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about having a Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Mercury in a natal chart. I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. What I'm talking about is having that Sun Mercury combination in the natal chart, having Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Mercury in your chart. Now, first off, the basic character, which is the Sun. In this case, the Sun being in Sagittarius can be very expansive, optimistic, exuberant, jovial, blunt, yet even self-righteous. And now the communication side of things is the same. Sagittarius Mercury can be very philosophical, blunt, optimistic in how they talk. Talk very exuberantly, with a lot of veracity, and also just very jocular in terms of their communications. And they may often think about practical jokes they could play on others. The thing about Sagittarius Mercury is that with people that have that, they have to just understand. Sometimes they can be very blunt. They speak to the point of demeaning and demoralizing someone, hurting their feelings, and sometimes there's repercussions for that. So it's just something that you have to keep in mind, especially when you're getting a double dose of the Sagittarius energy, the Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Mercury. Now, the Sun in astrology is connected with our, basic ones. And the Sagittarius Sun wants to explore, expand horizons, and be that perpetual learner. Now, the Sagittarius Mercury may often talk about expanding horizons of religious matters, sports, and advertising. They may even advertise their business a lot to people, so to speak. Now, the thinking, which is Mercury, and Mercury being in Sagittarius, can be very positive and upbeat, sometimes even visionary, often visionary, I would say, and enthusiastic. Now, as far as this combination goes, how this energy may integrate the Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Mercury, this could be a person may need to guard against a possible lack of follow through and persistence on things. And the person may be very restless, could be Sagittarius in body, which is the Sun. The Sun has a connection with the physical body, and the mind, which is Mercury. And this also, this may be, the combination may be auspicious for, college, education, higher learning, higher education. Now, if Mercury is posited before the Sun, the person may often think, which is Mercury, before acting, which is the Sun. The mind may be more premeditative, and the person may emphasize planning things before acting upon them more. Now, if the Sun is posited before Mercury, the person may often act, which is the Sun, prior to thinking, which is Mercury. Now, this may shine the light, so to speak, on which is the Sun, on communication ability if there is a conjunction aspect between the Sun and Mercury. Now, conjunction in astrology is 0 degrees. I use a 10-degree orb if you have at least one personal planet involved. In this case, of course, you have two personal planets that are involved. Let's say if the Sagittarius Sun is at 5 degrees and the Sagittarius Mercury is at 8 degrees, that would form a conjunction aspect. Now, the Sun in astrology is connected with our actions. So when the person, the Sagittarius Sun, may often act with goodwill, very good intentions, with benevolence. The actions may often be philanthropic and also done with a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm. Now, with the Sagittarius Mercury, Mercury is also connected with short journeys. So short journeys may be done, with that expansive optimism, that joviality, that exuberance and enthusiasm. They may be done with goodwill often as well. So anyway, the next thing up, well, the Sun in astrology is associated with the biological father and children. So having a Sagittarius Sun The person may have the biological father and at least one child, if applicable, may actually be a Sagittarius sun, moon, or ascendant, or embody those characteristics. And Sagittarius Mercury, Mercury is connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So having a Sagittarius Mercury, some of these people may actually be Sagittarius sun, moon, or ascendant persons, or embody those traits. Now, it's also about the perception of these people. So having a Sagittarius sun, well, the biological father and at least one child, again, if applicable, may may be people that are perceived as voracious, exuberant, enthusiastic, optimistic, jovial, jocular, and exuberant, but at the same time, those same people may be perceived as overly foolhardy, reckless, self-righteous, blunt, tactless, and even extravagant. And the same could apply to the Sagittarius Mercury. Mercury is, as far as siblings, cousins, and neighbors may go, some of these people may be perceived in the same way, very truthful, voracious, exuberant, enthusiastic, optimistic, and philosophical, but at the same time may be perceived as overly self-righteous, foolhardy, reckless, blunt, tactless, and extravagant even. So this is a combination that can be, I would say, a little bit, say very restless, to say the absolute least. And it's a lot of energy going on, this connection, but I'm sorry, this combination. I think it's imperative when you have Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Mercury combo in the natal chart, that there to have that concentration of energy to find that integrating purpose. Sagittarius is similar to Gemini, or comparable to Gemini, in terms of the lack of persistence in many instances. And I think when you look at Sagittarius, they're connected with higher education. So it's important, if the person is going to college, there might be a strong interest in college studies with this combination, to just make sure that one follows through on given subject, and shows the persistence, and it finishes what is started, because this is a very restless combination, to say the absolute least. And the thing about this is, I said before, the person may be restless in body and mind, but also too, there could be recklessness in terms of the body, which is the sun, and the mind, which is Mercury. So you have to be, especially the physical body, to be careful and prudent regarding possible accidents. And I had a Sagittarius sun friend. I believe he had Sagittarius Mercury as well, and he seemed like he was prone to have certain accidents, was falling off his bicycle, or whatever it could be. I think he had crashed into a car one time because he was in such a hurry, and he just wasn't paying attention. Sometimes it's the lack of somebody just being oblivious to certain things that are around the person. Sagittarius is could be very smart and cerebral, but they often they don't always see all the little things that are going on around them. So it's something just to keep in mind. And the thing about it is, it's also important to look for contraindicators and modifying influences in the chart, because it could modify this the energy of this combination. I mean, as an example, if you have the Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Mercury combination in your chart, but let's say that you have a Taurus ascendant as an example, you might come across as much more placid and calm and composed than the typical Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Mercury combination. And on the positive side, you can have more the person outwardly, what they're projecting, may show a lot more persistence and tenacity and follow through than the typical Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Mercury combination. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.